Hi there and welcome to this video cast on the Prince of Wands, and he looks like this, so lots of activity, lots of energy, say lots of red in there, very similar to the Knight of Wands and the Queen of Wands, which we've already dealt with. So the princes in the Thoth deck I think are fantastic. I think they're really good. The detail in them is great. Crowley describes them in the Book of Thoth very well, particularly this one, because this card, which is the prince is pulled by the line there, is there's a very strong Leo influence in this card, and that was his ascendant. The ascendant in your chart, for those that don't know, is basically the way you appear in the world. Can be to do with your physical appearance, but also the way you come across to others. So he was particularly interested in this card, along with the Queen of Swords, who has a strong Libra influence, and Libra was his sun sign. So lots to cover in the next 4 videos. One thing that I wanted to just make you aware of at this time is this book, Tarot Beyond the Basics, by Anthony Louis, which I'm not sure I've pronounced that surname right. It is a very good book. As it says, it is beyond the basics, and it does have a chapter or 2 on the court cards. Its treatment of the court cards and why I haven't used this book is rather complex. It divides them up elementally further into characteristics of dryness, wetness, heat and cold. So that's 4 different characteristics as opposed to the 2 that we are using with the Book of Thoth. So it is a very interesting analysis of the court cards, but I felt it was just too far with regards to the context of these videos. I should do a review of this book. It is very good. My only criticism is it doesn't really hang together as a book. It's sort of each of the chapters are very much standout chapters on their own. It doesn't really flow the book, but having said that, the information that it has is really good. It's got information on the numerology and the geometry of Pythagoras, the solids and stuff like that, and all sorts of stuff that you don't. It's is normally beyond your average tarot book. But anyway, that's aside. So we'll go on to the section looking at this card in detail. At first I didn't think there was a massive amount of detail to it, but there is, and we'll look at that next. Okay, so we'll look at the Prince of Wands in some detail, and moving on from the general photograph here that you met in the introduction, we will just move on to the sub-elements that make him up. And as you can see, princes are over here. So the princes are the airy aspect of the particular suit, and we're starting with the suit of Wands. So his sub-elements are air and fire. So this is always a useful starting point when looking at how the characteristics of a card may be made up, and we will, looking at the table of elemental dignities, fire and air are both friendly and active. That activity is seen within the very active nature of the card with the flames, and as you can see, lots of energy in that particular card. So these are elements that go in his favour. There's no contradiction between those two elements. You've got the intelligence of air, which is to do with the intellect, which is combined with the enthusiasm of fire. So those, in a nutshell, are the Prince of Wands' sub-elements. We'll just move on to the Tetragrammaton now. The Tetragrammaton and how the Prince fits in with the 4 letters of God. So he would be in the Vav section. He's the son of the Yod, which is the night, and the Hey Primal, which is the Queen. So he's like a hybrid of the two, and this is borne out in the card itself. You've got the activity of the Knight of Wands, but you've also got some sense of stability in the chariot which he sits on. So you've like got a moving throne. So that's the way that he combines the qualities of the two. We'll next move on to the Tree of Life diagram. Excuse me. And all of the princes are associated with Tippereth, which is a 6th Sephiroth here. This gives them somewhat a potential to be stable and very useful. With the Prince of Wands, this complements his other strong qualities. As we move down the princes, we do get more conflict in certain suits, and Tippereth is sometimes it's the saving grace or the potential which can be born out of that conflict. But with the Prince of Wands, it just adds to his positive nature. With the 6th Sephiroth here, it's essentially associated with the middle pillar, which is to do with harmony and balance. We've got the pillar of severity here on the left and the pillar of mercy on the right. So it's the resolution of opposites. And also it's a reflection of Keter here, but on a lower vibration, and it's a higher reflection of Yesod in the 9th Sephiroth here. So it occupies a very favourable position on the Tree of Life. All of the 6s of the minor arcana have very strong positive qualities associated with them, and so does the Prince of Wands in this respect. With regards to the 4 worlds, again we've got the top world here, Absolute, which is to do with the realm of fire. So again, he's at the top. He's on the top world there, in the middle. Looking at the astrology of the Prince of Wands here, I've just taken a little photograph. So we've got the Prince of Wands here, and he rules the last decan of Cancer, which is 21 to 30 degrees here, and that's associated with the 4 of Cups of the minor arcana, and he rules the first 2 decans of Leo, which is 0 to 20 degrees, and that's associated with the 5 and 6 of Wands, which is strife and victory. And as I said in the introduction, it's this strong association of the card with Leo, which is his ascendant, which is why he relates to this card particularly well. So these are the 3 minor arcana cards that he rules, and we'll look at those in detail later. The 5 of Wands, which is strife, is the first time we come across conflict. But we'll have a look at the symbology of the Prince of Wands first. Probably an easy thing to look at if I just zoom in, is that the character, the prince, has pupils drawn in the eyes, which is only one of 2 of the court cards of which this happens. And as I indicated in the introduction. We've got the Queen of Swords as well, which is associated with Libra and his sun sign. The crown of the Prince of Wands is also significant. Zoom up further. You've got the winged lined head here. These are the wings coming out, forming the base of the chariot. And again, the line there of Leo. The crown itself has 11 rays. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. 11 is associated with magic. It's the 11th path on the Tree of Life from Keter to Hokmar is associated with the Fool, which we haven't done yet. But the Fool is essentially the beginning as he moves out of Keter into Hokmar. That is the first step on the spiritual path proper, and I think that's a very sort of magical step to make, recognizing one's spiritual path ahead. The number 11 is also associated with the number of letters in the word abrahadabra, which is a magical word of the child, and that appears in the major arcana trumpet, which is the chariot. But we'll look at that in more detail at the time. Then number 11 is also associated with the 5 and the 6, the 5 being the pentagram and the hexagram, which are united in the rose and the cross. So this number 11, it does have other connotations as well, and that can be read in my notes on the site, and I've also got a reference to that material. Okay, we'll come out of the zoom up thing there. With regards to his armour, his arms are free of armour to allow for his activity and his creative nature. So he's not overly protective of himself. As you can see, his arms are very open. He's got a phoenix wand in the right hand here, which is used and in the rituals of the Golden Dawn, and it basically represents power and creativity. He's got reins draped over his left hand there, and again that's allowing for free reign of his creativity, similar to the Lust card in the major arcana there. We'll try and zoom up on that, where these reins are fairly loose there. So again, the implication here is that the passion and confidence of Leo shouldn't really be constrained, and his true nature is really a passion for life, and therefore he's allowing this quality of Leo to express itself. He's not holding it back. So going on to that, the line pulling the chariot, again symbolic of the Leo influence. So we're saying that Leo is a strong quality of this card. Qualities of Leo are being at the heart of things. See the breastplate of the heart there. Confident and outgoing, being at the centre of attention. Leo also rules the heart. Leos revel in drama, and they can also create drama where there isn't drama to be had. And he's allowing that to express itself. Just going on to the breastplate here. The seal on the breastplate is the 7-pointed Star of Babylon, together with this circles in the centre there, which is to do with the mark of the beast. This also appears on the 5 of Wands, which you've covered, and also on the Ace of Discs, which I also covered in detail, so I won't go over it here. So as I say, there's a fair bit of detail in that which has already been covered. Another thing to notice is his leg posture. Number 4 there. You'd think that was to do with the Emperor, but in fact, if you look at older pictures of him, that was his favourite yogic posture when he was doing pranayama exercises there. He's probably closing off one or both of the nostrils, probably one of the nostrils, and doing some sort of alternative breathing. So again, because he associates himself closely with this card, I think that's where that number 4 comes from, that leg posture there. The last thing I want to talk about at this stage is just this bit of green under the chariot there. That is probably, although it's not written about, it's probably to do with the I think Snuffin says it's to do with the flashing colours of fire, which doesn't really mean much to me. It could be a colour scale there that the Golden Dawn use. I tend to associate it with the green of creativity. As he moves, he's expressing himself here. He's very creative in the path that he follows. So that's just my little quirky thing there, that he's just laying the path of creativity as he moves forward in his life. Okay, we shall move on to the next bit. So I indicated that he rules 3 of the minor arcana cards, and the first one is Strife here. Strife, which Saturn plays a big part in this card because it's limiting the ambition of Leo. Again, we've already gone through these cards, but I think Saturn is like a restraining influence and a discipline influence on him. It checks Leo, it checks that expansiveness. Again, that's not a bad thing, as Leo unchecked can be quite reckless, vain and arrogant. It's not all good, and it's a modifying influence. I think without this influence of Saturn, you would get this unbridled expression of Leo in the Lust card there. So it's making sure that his path is, he doesn't get all his own way. The 6 of Wands Victory, this is a very good card to have, again associated with the number 6, Sephiroth, Tippereth. This victory is always hard fought, or at least it's not given to you. So again, this is part of his personality to be victorious through working through things. So his path may not always be straightforward. He will have to put effort and energy into getting where he is, and discipline. If we move on to the final minor arcana card here, which is 4 of Cups, and that was associated with his shadow side, and this is really showing what, again, another negative aspect of Leo, which is reveling in excess, having a large, oversized viewpoint of your own importance, being overly egotistical, vain, and also a sense of laziness. You see the lines can get very lazy a lot of the time. So his own sense of self-importance has grown at the expense of his more inner development, as he becomes obsessed with his own place in the world. So the Prince is, as we see, not the finished article. He still has obstacles to move around and work through. We'll move on now to hexagram 42, which is associated with this particular card. So we said that he's made up of fire and air, and so is this hexagram, because if we look at the trigrams which make it up, fire is associated with thunder. Obviously you've got air with the wind on top. Hexagram 42 is related to the words benefit or increase. This implies a great time for self-development, and also implies that there's lots of beneficial type forces and situations in your life to move things forward at this time. So we can lose bad habits, we can gain more fruitful courses of action, we can really push through to reach our goals. Also implied within this hexagram is that this situation won't last forever, so it's a good time to actually let this influence of Leo out and express itself in your life. Moving on to the divinatory meanings of the Prince of Wands. So with the heart of the lion, he stands for honesty and integrity, what he believes to be for the common good, a strong sense of morality. He can represent a turning point in our life. If things are going badly, then we can use and channel his energy and enthusiasm and drive to move forward to make our situation better. So we can actually wear his confidence, wear the mask of his confidence. He reminds us to re-engage in life and be ready to tackle any challenges that come our way. Remember, he's worked through the Five of Wands, so we'll eventually overcome whatever's holding us back at this time, so we can reach our goal, which was the Six of Wands there. He represents someone generous and loyal, with a sense of humour as well. So he can also remind us, do we have our lust for life? And this card is engaging us to ask that question. Do we actually have a lust for life at this time, or has it gone? So if we're looking at the Celtic Cross situation, and I've forgotten that diagram, which I usually do. So if you give me a sec, I will just try and locate it. Here we go. I've moved things around a bit, so at least I'm not too disorganised. I knew where it was. So this is our typical Celtic Cross, and so the heart of the matter, if the Prince of Wands turns up here, again picking up just one particular aspect to the divinatory meaning, it could be telling us that do we have a lust for life at this time? Are we pursuing our goals with the enthusiasm and integrity that we should be? And it's also implying that we should go for those goals, because the Prince of Wands is a positive character. So whenever possible within a reading, I would look, I would try and bring out this this ambition that he wants to express. If it's a challenge, again, this could be more of an ill-dignified quality. Are we attaching too much importance to our physical appearance, our standing in the world? Do we have too much self-importance? Are we too vain? Are we using this energy of the Prince of Wands in a reckless fashion? Are we being too hasty in moving forward? So these are the sort of negative things that are associated with him. If it turns up in the past, it could be that this is how we were in the past. We did have this enthusiasm and drive for life, and we've very confident, very outgoing. So it's implying, are we that at present, or have we withdrawn into ourselves more? Again, self-image would be to do with the self-importance that we attach to ourselves? Do we have our integrity? Are we doing what we need to do in an honest and integral way? Are we following our sense of morality? That sort of things come in. So there's actually quite a lot of deep qualities that come with this card. Hopes and goals. Again, I would say it's a very positive position for this card, because it's reminding us to be confident, to express ourselves, to not hold back, to let those reins loose, and to be able to move forward with confidence. And this card is encouraging us to do that, to let the reins off and really express ourselves, similar to the overall outcome there. A positive position there. Guidance and warning. You know, have we got those? With the guidance and warning, are these reins held too tight? We're not being able to express ourselves here. Or have we just let go of the reins completely? And is this sense of ambition and self-importance gone too far? Have we got lazy and just not and stopped driving the actual chariot? And again, things like the future. Another positive position for this card, because it's encouraging someone to actually express themselves in an open and honest way. So lots of positive characteristics coming from this card in that position. In the unknown influence here, or subconscious, that's more to do with the fact that someone may not be recognizing their own confidence. It may be buried, and it is there, it just needs bringing out. So that's a few seeds of thought there for you in terms of the Celtic Cross. I try not to just reel off standard interpretations here, but try and give you something outside the box a little bit. Okay, I think that's it for this video. Talked long enough, so thank you for bearing with me, and we'll look at the Prince of Cups next.